So let's get you back to Florida for the sentencing of Ellen Gilland. She has killed her husband, Jerry. He was in a very bad state physically and mentally, and the two of them had a suicide pact. But she didn't end up killing herself. Instead, she turned the gun on hospital workers and on police. Now we have a security guard at the hospital as witness number 4. Let's watch.
Now, back in January 21st of 2023, what was your role at Advent Health?
Senior officer of security.
Right. Now, what are the role of security officers at Advent Health Hospital?
My job is to make sure everyone would come on the property is safe and just do my job, you know.
All right. Back in 2023, were there metal detectors?
No, sir.
Now, as a security guard, what are you issued as far as part of your uniform?
At that time, we was armed with a baton and a taser.
No firearm?
No firearm.
Now, on January 21st, 2023, were you working?
Yes, sir.
Now, at around 12 that day, was there a call out for an active shooter at Advent Health?
Yes, sir.
Right. What is your responsibility when a call for an active shooter comes out at Advent Health?
All right, so we received a phone call from the 11th floor in reference to someone having a weapon. Once me and another one of the officers arrived to the floor, I made contact with the room. I knocked on the door, identified myself as Security Officer Cory. I'm coming in. At that time, I noticed Ms. Gilland there with a firearm pointed at the door. At that time, I stepped back. She advised to get the F out of here. She'll blow my effing brains out. I stepped back, closed the door. My other officer was getting ready to come in. I grabbed him by the collar, pulled him back. At that time, we got on the radio and notified the nurse supervisor. I got on the PD radio, notified law enforcement that I needed assistance with what was going on at the hospital.
So let me slow you down. So when you get up to the 11th floor, you head over to Select Specialty?
Yes.
All right, and that's contained within Advent Health Hospital?
Yes.
Now, you get up there, the door to 1106 closed?
Yes.
All right, now you were told it was a weapon. Did you know it was a firearm at that point in time when you got up?
Yes, they just called us and told us that they saw someone with a weapon. Did not tell me that they heard a shot or anything like that. Yes.
So you still, not knowing what the danger was, you went up there and...
Yes, sir. That's my job.
And so you get up to this doorway and you open up the door.
Yes, sir.
Do you open it up fully?
Yes.
All right, so when you open up the door fully, where is Miss Gilland in relation to in the room?
She was on the other side of her husband, facing the doorway. Like, so her back was to the window, and she was facing the door.
And what did she have in her hands?
A revolver, black. I want to say it was a revolver. I just saw a black gun pointed at me.
Now, how far into the room were you when you saw this black gun pointed at you?
I just got right in the door frame. You know.
All right. And when you entered, you said she made threats to you?
Yes.
I know you kind of politely kind of abbreviated what she said, but did she use the full word?
Yes.
All right, what exact words? I know we're taught to be polite, but what exactly did she specifically say?
CCW, so I'm always armed. My reaction was to go to my side, but of course I didn't, so I just stepped back, and like I said, I jumped on the radio and notified the authorities.
All right, and who was the second security guard with you?
Joseph.
All right, and as you described, he tried to go into the room as well?
Yes, he was coming behind me. We always responded to, so he was coming behind me. I grabbed him up by his collar, yanked him back. And then, like I said, I had him clearing the floor as we was on the radio, notifying the staff and law enforcement.
Now, how many times did she make that threat to you that she was going to kill you?
I was just gave it one time. After that, I just closed the door.
Now, once you closed that door, where did you stand?
On the side, just to make sure. I didn't know if it was a threat going to come out of there or anything like that. So I just drew my taser at that time and just stood there until law enforcement arrived.
All right, so without a firearm, armed basically only with a taser, as you described, you stayed outside that door
Yes, sir.
to protect the patients and the employees of Advent Health and Select Specialty?
Yes, sir.
How long did you stay out there, essentially unarmed, with somebody with a gun in that room?
It didn't take law enforcement a long time to get there. I stated once they got there, I was able to assist moving the patients next to the room, upper floors and under, to make sure that no one else was going to be in danger.
All right, so
Boy, oh boy, you can't judge a book by its cover. We see this old lady walking into the courtroom, barely can move, using the walker, looking so sympathetic and sweet, and yet she's telling this gentleman she's going to blow his brains out. Wow, is there another side to Ellen Gilland? We're going to see all of this testimony coming up live next here on Court TV.
Grieving widow or mastermind behind a murder.
Monica Cementelli is accused of plotting to kill her husband.
Famed celebrity hairstylist Fabio Cementelli.
Prosecutors say she and her lover killed Fabio to collect a big life insurance policy.
The defense may say she's a bad woman, but she wouldn't be involved in a murder.
It's a whodunit Hollywood story, but will there be a twist that no one sees?
The celebrity stylist murder trial, today, only on Court TV. Now.
what does she have in her hands?
A revolver, black. I want to say it was a revolver. I just saw a black gun pointed at me. She told me she'll blow my brains out.
While the gun was pointed at you?
Yes.
And what was going through your mind as you have a gun pointed at you and someone telling you they're gonna blow your brains out?
I mean, usually outside of Advent Health, I have a CCW, so I'm always armed. My reaction was to go to my side, but of course I didn't, so I just stepped back and, like I said, I jumped on the radio and notified the authorities.
Defendant Ellen Gilland terrorizing that hospital security officer you see there giving testimony at her sentencing hearing. Welcome back. So this officer is witness number 4 being called by the state of Florida to paint the picture on that dreadful day that Ellen Gilland took a gun and turned it on multiple people. The gentleman you just saw there on the stand, a nurse who was helping care for her husband, and police officers who were called in after the standoff began. Let's go back in and hear more from the hospital security guard.
Explain, why are you moving patients to the left, to the right, up and down?
I mean, I don't know what, a bullet can go anywhere. So I don't know what the intention is. I don't know what law enforcement is going to do at that time, what they was going to have to do to be able to access y'all able to come out. So for their safety, we start pulling them out, taking them to other floors for they can still receive their treatment.
All right, now, the patients that you're taking out, are they in kind of a critical care unit?
Yes, that floor is, yes.
All right, can you describe to the courtroom exactly what it was like taking these patients from the left, the right, up and down?
Well, like I said, the beds was really big, so trying to get them through the frame, I actually was pumping at one time to get the people out. So like I said, you can only get through. So I wanted to pump in the best way I can until we was able to get them out, and then the staff took over from there.
All right, let me slow that down. When you say you're pumping, are these people were originally on ventilators?
Yes, like I said, I had a little bag and I was just pumping air to them.
Okay, so their only source of oxygen at this point in time is you pumping it into their lungs.
Yes, sir.
Because you had to disconnect them from a ventilator.
Yes, sir.
All right. How are the patients reacting to this?
The one that I was pumping, they gave me one of them, like they said, I don't know if I was going fast enough or what. Like I said, that's not my forte, but I was doing what I can to make sure that I got them out fast enough for the staff, that's their job to do what they needed to do.
All right, but you saw the patient you're helping move struggling to breathe.
Yes, sir.
Now, once law enforcement responds, what is your role to transition to?
Like I said, just to continue making sure that I can assist them in any type of way, but making sure that the staff is where they need to be and so forth.
Thank you. I have no further questions, Your Honor.
All right. Questions for Mr. Jackson?
One moment, Judge.
Mr. Jackson.
Morning.
You said when you first entered the room, was Miss Gilland, was she standing up or sitting down?
She was sitting down.
Okay, and was the firearm already pointed towards the door area?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and I think you said the first thing that she said she was, get the F out.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And I think your testimony was that you provided some medical care to some of the other patients on the floor?
Okay.
No, was that what you testified to a minute ago?
Pumping air into him? Yes.
I'm sorry, sir?
Yes.
Okay. Prior to today, have you told anyone previously that was what you did, that you had to provide medical care to any of the patients?
I told him that the day of.
Okay. Nothing further, Judge. Thank you, Mr. Jackson.
I just want to be clear. She didn't tell you to leave the room, did she?
No, sir.
Thank you. You may step down, sir. Is this a good time to take a 10-minute break or so?
All right, the security officer you see leaving the stand there after giving testimony in this case, he's traumatized too, I am sure. We heard witness number one, the nurse, talk about how he still suffers greatly from the after effects of enduring that incident where he had the gun pointed at him. He said that he sees a psychologist regularly, as he should. This was a terrible day, but I think it's important to remember that there are lingering effects from conduct like this. This didn't have to happen. Ellen Gilland didn't have to terrorize all of those people in the hospital. So now what's the judge going to do with her? What kind of a sentence is he going to give her? Let me give you the legal framework that we're working with. Could be anything from probation to prison incarceration, jail or prison, big difference. And it could be anywhere from no time behind bars to 10 years behind bars. 10 years is the statutory max on the instant charges. Let's bring in attorney C.K. Hoffler to get some predictions. Okay, C.K., what do you think the judge will do with her? Or should I say, should do with her? What do you think would be an appropriate sentence for defendant Ellen Gilland?
I think an appropriate sentence would be the maximum sentence, 10 years. The testimony of this witness and the others, but in particular the security guard who has some training, and when he discusses all the things he had to do as a result of the reckless and criminal behavior of Ms. Gilland, is just, I think it's appropriate for this judge to give her the maximum sentence. Florida is a capital crime state. So under other circumstances, she negotiated some pretty good terms in terms of what a plea and what she could and couldn't do. She could be facing the death penalty in the state of Florida. She's not. So to have this type of very, very sort of mild, lenient legal framework, which is, her lawyers did a good job of negotiating that for her. I think the judge needs to impose the maximum that he can. And I believe he will, because the testimony has been, there's no way of cross-examining a witness who experienced, who lived this, who had a gun pointed at him, and all that she did, not just in killing her husband, but to all the other innocent people around. And there were people who were on very, very compromised medical positions that had to be tended to because of what this defendant did. So I don't see where the judge should have any leniency whatsoever, despite her age. And she looks mild and meek, but I agree with you, Julie. She was using profanity and all that kind of stuff, and she was strong enough and criminally minded enough to point a gun at someone and say, at more than one person, and say, I will kill you. She used profanity. And if you don't get out of my way.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly what she did. You're so right, CK. Another side to this woman. She may look like she's struggling and feeble and elderly, but there's much more.